This is going to be a draft review over a 12-win run that I had with Junith with the Sisters of Battle. This is the third time I've taken her in draft and come out with 12 wins. I really think the Sisters of Battle are solid. I'd say that they could even be top tier if you know how to play them, if it weren't for the fact that the Space Marines, the Ultramarines, are kind of at the top. I'd consider like Ultramarines are at the top, Necrons are close, but you can get a lot of games where you just completely blitz the Necrons out of the game with Ultramarines, especially because of the Zeal changes where you can lower its price with Codex triggers. Just for reference, Avenging Zeal, the Codex triggers are by far the best changes to the Ultramarines in my opinion. That, and if I were to say one other change, maybe even two other changes that were just the biggest buff to the Marines. Avenging Zeal, this being 4 health, and where is it? Maybe it's a common. It is. And this, healing adjacent units. I'd say those are the 3 biggest things for the Marines that just make them so good right now. So because of the Ultramarines being such a common occurrence, I'd say the Sisters are put in their place, but other than that, I'd say that they're top tier, like they're top 3. So going ahead with the draft review of the 12-win run, I'll be going over the couple of losses that I had to over the way. As you can see, I've been playing plenty of Ultramarines myself. So just to get started, not really a great idea to have this in the hand right away. And most of the units I'm going to want to use this with come later in the game as well. I'd rather have either really cheap troops that I can use in addition to the Warlord ability. You know, play my Warlord ability and play this, things like that, rather than having some of these right now. And overall, I'm really happy with that hand. I think that Blade of Faith helps get rid of some of the really annoying Orc units. And Conviction of Faith helps set up board in a lot of cases. So right off the bat, 2 Grots, 6 damage, and an attack. I've taken 8 damage. That's a rough start. At the same time, he has almost no cards in hand anymore. He's not going to have a lot of ways to counter anything that I'm doing. So in a lot of the draft games, you'll notice that you're playing people who are really new at the game quite often on the first 1 or 2 battles. Every once in a while, you'll get somebody who's really good in one of those first 2, but a lot of the time, the first couple wins are kind of freebies. And I'd say like him playing that line is already kind of a freebie.
I have seen worse. I have vanquished worse.
So I'm going to clear this. Like I said, I don't need to have a ton of faith. It's a bonus objective. It's not the objective. Okay? He would have loved to have just done that on my face, but I'm really happy with that. It's a really powerful card, already out of the way. A lot of his ability to snipe me down is gone. Okay, I do play both of these. So I could have obviously done the 2-2, the Battle Sister, and then lead the Righteous with another Battle Sister, but I really wanted this on the field. to start getting some buffs on my units. He prioritized hitting me and not clearing some of the troops or getting this chunked, which I think is a mistake. It would have been equally valid to either do Conviction of Faith to make it awkward for him to trade with most of these units, or use Blade of Faith to clear this. But I believe that I really just wanted to get this out of my hand because it's going to be more and more awkward to play that the later the game goes. Whereas I should be able to get value from either of those later in the game without too much trouble. Probably my favorite card in their entire roster. It is so good.
My soul is consecrated to this relic.
I mean, enough said on that one. He has very few cards. I'm going to buff all of these to high heavens while I have the chance before he gets to 8 energy. This is one of the cases where praying is just the right choice. Shield on all of these, too good to ignore. Too good to ignore. Simple as that. I really would have used his health pool as a resource on that one and attacked. He would have taken more damage, sure, but this having more HP is somewhat important, I would say. I have more options since he did not do that. I can kill this with my guy now, whereas if it had that extra health, wouldn't be able to do it. He'd still be sitting pretty with this unit to make some good trades further on. Also, he should have played this next to it. Well, I can see why he didn't, right? Obviously, this can blow up and do damage to him, so maybe it's not a mistake. But this just once again shows why it's probably the second best card in the entire Sisters roster. Because I know I have the opportunity to make full use of my Energy 7 turn. He's gonna want a Will of Gork, and it's not gonna matter because of this. The invulnerable tag is exactly what it says. Nothing gets it off the board at all until the very next turn, you know. It's unbelievably good. So every time I have the chance to take this in a draft, I take it. I've taken this 2 or 3 times over because I don't really care about any of the other 7 or 8 cost units, not much at least. So I don't mind having this be the only like 7 or 8 cost card, 7 or higher cost card in the entire run. I don't care. I'll take it 3 or 4 times over. It is that good. This person, I do believe, knew what they were doing, if I remember right. And it was a bit more of a sketchy win, if I recall.
Let us see if you are worthy of the duty bestowed upon you. I will fail you, our Scantorum.
This rarely stays on board, but this is one of those instances that it does. I'm not gonna pay attention to Faith until it gets like 3 or 4 range, so sure, let him have the Faith. Get this off the board. This will give her Faith by itself and can do a lot of more annoying things. He uses it to generate Faith. I believe it has the ability to provide a Crusader. I think I would have probably gone with the Crusader, but he probably didn't because I did make that attack on the unit so that it was 1 HP, and he wouldn't have wanted to trade into that unit with her. So it worked out. You got the faith. I'm not going to prioritize my own. I'm going to keep them from getting to 3, because that's when it actually starts doing a few things. So keeping her from getting 3 is a lot more important than me getting 1 or 2. That can't stay. I need to clear it off. This is why I don't mind having another one of these. Getting a couple of them down is really good. I don't think I would take these in a Morven Vol. You could, but there's just better things to be doing with those. You could take it with Erica. She can get it to that 4 HP health point. You could argue, is it really worth it in the Erica deck as well? Maybe not. But I think it works best with Junith. So, I like making it very awkward for her to trade with these units, given the 2 armor. It gives me a really nice, solid turn where I have a lot of options, right? I have a wide board state, easily clearable. I play Conviction of Faith, not easily clearable anymore. And now, she's actually spending a good amount of resources on fairly weak units. Like, these have really good potential to do a lot of things with, but by themselves, not that strong. That Conviction of Faith buys that 1 turn that you need for it to not be bad. Could have gone Beacon of Faith, but I'd like to save this for a few of the stronger units later on. I'm still really overall happy with this. If she plays Celestine, I'm going to play Celestine too. Instead, didn't really have good cards to play, I suppose, because went with drawing 3 cards, 6 energy, no discount though. So that's fantastic for me. Dead turn, I'm gonna go ahead and play Celestine, have some fun with it. Buff this up, because why not? And once again, I'm gonna keep her from getting to 4. 3 is already kind of sucky, but 4 is when some of the units also get flanked, like the Seraphim. And I'd like to prevent that as well. Alright, here's where I have a lot of different things that I can do. I go ahead and just go with the best unit in their entire roster, because, of course, why not? Once again. Now I have a lot more going for me if I'm using this prayer effect, because the shield prevents her from just doing a ping. Obviously she gets to 4 faith, but between Celestine being on board and this being on board, I'm fairly happy. I can live with that. I have a lot of options for removing this, so I'm not too worried about that either. This is a fantastic card if you're playing it on an empty board. If you're playing it onto a board that has strong units already, not that great. Not that great. I might heal this, we'll see. Okay, I go ahead and heal it. Using my shield to trade, not really worth too much. I'd rather have this shield for something else. Every once in a while you'll see me continue to spam the health, but a lot of the times on this unit, it is best to use the ability for the health, and then trade with the shield. Use the ability for the health, trade with the shield. Kind of just one and then the other, rather than trying to spam the health over and over again And you're just kind of wasting the really good trades that you can get with those shields. Like I said, take this card up to 3 or 4 times if you can. Beyond that, I mean, you're kind of getting a little bit ridiculous with it, and you're kind of jeopardizing drawing too many of these early. But really, I would say 3. You can take up to 3 of these. I have plenty of health, so not really worried about getting rid of that and taking too much damage. Not really a thing. Just got too much of a board for her to be able to take care of. She would need to play Hollowed Martyr. She would also need some Flagellants, and those right now just aren't enough. Right now, she's just buying time, really. At this point, it doesn't matter too much what I'm doing, so there's not too many things that can go wrong. Like I said, really the only way that she's getting out of this is with those Arco-Flagellant spams in the Hallowed Martyr. And even then, it's kind of not enough. She would need like 2 Flagellants or another copy of Hallowed Martyrs to get her out of this. And it's just game. Really just never recovered from me playing this, is how I would say this game went. Just never recovered from me playing this card. And then the turn that she played the draw 3 for 6, that just set her so far behind as well. So first two games, nothing really too exciting. Not very difficult games. This one's a mirror. And if I recall, this one was harder than those first two.
With holy fire you shall be cleansed. I shall pass his task with no reluctance.
So I don't really have much to say on that. Maybe they're going for a bit more of an aggro approach, perhaps. I know that I'm going to prioritize taking that unit out of the way. I want to be the one that is controlling the game from the early mid-stage onwards and having her react to that. So she messes up, uses the prayer, uses the shield before prayer is activated, so she does not get that energy. I take advantage of that. I take advantage of going second by playing that card for that 1 faith, just to get that off the board, and she ends up with 0 faith. Like I said, it's not the most essential thing in the world to stop them from getting 1 or 2, but if you can and it makes sense, go for it. Just not ideal to be playing that flank card on a non-damaged unit. Paying 2 to give flank to a weak unit, you know, whatever. I don't really care. Go for it. I think I play the Seraphim just because that 4/4 flying gives me the opportunity to trade with a lot of units really well and heal it. And like I said, my objective was to take control of the early mid game, and I believe that would help greatly with that. At this point, 4 cards, I've got plenty. I'm going to start trying to establish board dominance. I'm just going to trade it. Yes, I could have this and the Warlord gone for it, but at this point, I'd rather just take the even trade and just have this ready to go. So, Hallowed Martyrs gives this person a lot of options. Will help clear a lot of those things that I have established. Sucks that she's getting it off relatively scot-free. But this, once again, just starts taking over the board. Alright, I'm going to force her to attack this if she wants the chance of it coming off. Go ahead and buff it every single time. Use the prayer mechanics when you have this on board. If not, really think about whether it's worth doing. But it's pretty much always worth doing when this is on board. At least once you have the shield. Easy trades, not concerned about it at all. I might play, I played the Seraphim and just went for it. Probably put shield on this guy. And then probably took the hit with my Warlord. Yep. And then why not? Right, I have it, why not? I probably... Yep. Good stuff, good stuff. These games were played last night, and I think the last 7 or so in the run were played this morning. So these ones from last night, I might not remember exactly what I did, but I have a good idea of what I'm going to try to do. In this case, Celestine makes sense. Guaranteed to stay on the board. I'm going to go ahead and give myself faith, because it forces her to hit one of these units or myself in order to get these shields off. And then once those shields are off, this still has to make a trade with some decently powerful units. It's not getting it for free. I don't mind. I have plenty of HP. 1 armor's not that big of a deal. Does about what I expected, which was to hit here. Celestine tanks one of them. Fantastic. This gets to stay on board. Woo! Real good, real good. I think I traded with that one because I wanted it to be a little bit harder for Celestine to be killed by other things. I wanted to give her a chance to actually stay on board if it were possible. I don't know if I spam the health or if I'd go ahead and take the shield trade. This is one of the rare ones where I do take the... where I spam the health an extra time instead of attacking this with the shield. And I think the rationale behind that was to make the Crusader more difficult to remove without using this unit, because I didn't want this unit to be able to trade directly with Celestine. And at this point, play all the big units you want. I have what I need to take you off, so. And game. So actually, I would argue that this one was pretty easy too, actually. Didn't have to do anything particularly crazy to get myself out of a really bad situation. Just very happy with how I played those first 3 games, I would say. Certainly there were some other options than some of the ones that I went with, but I'd argue that none of the things that I did in those first 3 games were wrong, per se. They had their weaknesses, they had their advantages to each line of play. Alright, back to the Tau. I've not seen a lot of them lately. Just because I think the Tyranids get a better matchup against them with their Board clear doing 3 damage on the drones now. Ultramarines and the Necrons just outpacing them now. So first time I've seen a Tau player in a long time.
With holy fire you shall be cleansed.
Which is the way I like it. They were so broken. Between this guy and Anva, there was just 12 win run city every time I got one of them. I would argue that he cared too much about me getting 1 faith over not letting this stay on board. Because if he can establish some early drone spam, where these are getting a couple lucky pings on these units and he's getting to remove them easily, what do? I really need these things to either tank hits from really strong warlords that can punch my health down, or I need them to kind of provide early game tempo before I can get the good ones. So in this case, I get a really good draw. I won't deny that. Drawing into that on 4 energy is really good. At the same time, I think it's the first time I've seen it early on in one of these games. So, you know, not absurdly lucky, but really nice to get that on energy turn 4. Otherwise, I probably would have played Crusader and then Warlord ability. So back to a clear board state. I don't have to worry too much about these units because I have the Martyr card activated. I can always hit his Warlord and go ahead and get both of these pings down. And then this could hit my Warlord and clear the stealth drone off. But like I said, most of the time I'm going to end up playing this. I do get punished for it in this scenario. Some other options of things that I could have done were Crusader, Dominion, Battle Sister. I would probably say that I just cared a little bit less about those other lines of play simply because I got Hollowed Martyrs down already. Because that is a reality, I was not as strict with the decision making. So I'd say, so far, that's probably the first mistake that I've made. I don't know that I liked playing that and then depending on that not pinging it to have a good time, right? Depending on a 50-50, not great. Of course, I do have another one in my deck, so it's not the end of the world. But overall, I wasn't exactly happy with that play. Okay. So, a little bit of an intermittent turn, making it awkward for him to deal with this. Of course he can. But I'm making it so that he has to trade a ranged attack, or he has to swing with both of these guys. And then this turn really slows the pacing of the game down for him. The shield doesn't matter nearly as much since I have Hallowed Martyrs active. And he overestimates the ability of his Warlord to take this unit out. And he gets punished for that too. I'm pretty sure, yeah. I could have gone with this, a Crusader, and Lead the Righteous. Perfectly valid doing that. And I don't take damage, sure. But I wanted this out on board. This trades with a lot of things. I want it out on board, and I want the option to use this for something else. I'm pretty sure this tanked a ping. Maybe it didn't, but these can always tank pings. He should not have attacked me there. Right? He should limit my ability to get Hollowed Martyrs off to me swinging and him taking really strong hits, not hitting me with weak attacks. probably could play both of those. I go ahead and do that. Only way that I get really sad is if he plays the marker light across the board and then plays the one that does 4 damage if they have mark light on them. Is it marker or mark? It is marker. So that is a weakness of that play. And it results in him being able to play another unit and then maybe swinging and taking this out. That was my biggest concern for going wide. Yep, okay. At this point, I don't care about using my ability to heal. I am trying to use Hollowed Martyrs to get these annoying shields off. So I don't have to worry about getting swarmed and swamped with drones. Same deal here. The worst thing that could happen is he plays Give Marker Light 2 to all of my units, and then he goes ahead and plays whatever the 4-cost board wipe is. Don't remember the name, but I think he ends up playing it later in the game, so it'll pop up. Should have hit it melee. At this point, I'm sitting pretty. I'm gonna start spamming some extra health and shields on these units so that it doesn't matter if he does have those cards that I mentioned before. I'll probably still try to trigger Hollowed Martyrs, just so that he doesn't have a bunch of units with shields that keep me from taking care of big units that could be a problem. So this game had to take risks. You just have to. It's part of the game. You have to take risks sometimes. Because I'm not going to win by playing this super slow. These guys have some really annoying big units that these guys aren't going to be able to compete with. I don't have a ton of great removal for the large units. I have some, but not for like the 8, 9, 10 energy units, and if they're shielded behind a blockade of these Vanguard units, I'm never going to be able to get through. So I kind of have to play in such a way that allows me to either go straight for his face or take those units out without them getting blocked. This one I make a power play. I'm going to fill the full board up, make the trades that I need to get these units off, and boom. This is such a good card. It is up there with the best cards in the entire game. Even just giving all friendly units armor 2 until your next turn is a decent ability. It would not be the same card, of course, but it's already a decent ability. The heal 2s, chef's kiss. You can make that a legendary card if you wanted, and I wouldn't be too angry, because it is that good, in my opinion. It makes it so that he can't do anything about my board state, and they get heals. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. I grant him the Emperor's Mercy of Death. Pretty sure I lose the next game, maybe even the next 2 in a row. No, I lose, win, lose. I'm going to attribute this one to just get better, draw better. I don't know if that was a misclick, like I just didn't click that and continue, but I should not have kept that in my hand at all. Not at all. This isn't the time for this card to be useful. It just isn't. That's the other reason I lose this game. This card is the most annoying little crap in the game. He gets to trade with my unit for free now. You know, 1 HP from his warlord, big deal. And this gets to be a problem for the rest of the game. It gets to be a problem. I wish that they would just make it so that it only gives the warlord +1. It would still be annoying. But its ability to be a persistent nuisance and provide more value, like this can upswing and hit with greater value than it ever normally would be for 1 energy cost. I'm sure he had a better way to deal with this, because this is such an annoying unit to deal with that I'm really glad he went ahead and did that. And I'm going to continue to regret having this card because there's nothing to do with it. This is an amazing card, but not right now. So now I'm stuck with 2 cards that don't do much of anything in my deck. And so I'm kind of forced to play units that I know he can kill really, really easily. But I'm just hoping that it will buy time and my guy health, because it sucks to suck. And of course, this card comes back time and time again to provide free trades for units. It is probably one of their best cards, I would say. Probably top 10 cards in the entire game, because its presence in the early game can win a game by itself for these guys. Watch, it's going to continue to provide value that these cards should not otherwise be able to get, these free swings. And I know I play that card knowing exactly what he's going to do with it. I don't have any other options, so I'm just kind of stuck with that. Once again, I kind of just have to try and keep him from getting too many of these on the field, so I have to play it. I would love to use this on a stronger unit, but this is what I got. These continue to not be helpful. And ouch. More fantastic up trading. Boom, boom, taking 10 HP off of me, and I'm stun locked. Sucks. I would say he by far is probably the best of the orcs, because he can be the most consistently annoying. And yeah, I'm just forced to try to put more meat shields down. It's at this point that I already know that I've lost the game, because literally this right here is just damage control, right? He still makes really good trades with both of these units, and then to add insult to injury, he gets this combo off. It's rare that you get to play these combos off, but man, they're really good when you do. 2 to 3 to all enemies is amazing on a card that already has decent stats. So, yeah, I mean, I've already known that it's over, but I think I play it out mostly to fullness. Yeah, so I just play everything out, but I know that I've lost. Did not know in hindsight that I kept that 3 energy card. So that was a mistake. I don't know if it was intentional or an accident, because looking back on it, I'm like, that makes no sense to keep that in the beginning of the game. So that's mistake number 2 for the game. I would consider that like the second clear-cut mistake that I've made in this run so far.
You shall be cleansed.
Not happy about it either. Really happy with this other than having both of these. I'd really rather have anything else than 2 copies of this. And really, I don't really like these that much anyways. I took them because they came with other really good units. If you're drafting, I think you can make... I think it kind of goes like this in my mind. If there's 1 bad card and 2 good cards, don't take it. If there's 1 bad card and 2 great cards, take it. If there's a bad, a good, and a great, you gotta think about it a little bit more, but you can still probably take it. I don't like him just taking the 3 for 3. I really would have liked to see him melee attack 1 with it and then attack with his Warlord for the 2H. He just takes 1 damage to his Warlord and he gets to keep that unit, and I have to make some kind of awkward trade with it. So I don't like him just taking the even trade. I would have liked to have seen him keep that unit on board with 2 HP so that I have to do a trade with it. I think I choose to play this just because I want to make him use this unit on something. I want the ability for one of these to stick. Did I have to play it? Probably not. I know that I have some really strong turns coming up, so I know that it is not the most important thing in the world that this just is an amazing turn. And he ends up using a really strong effect just to res 1 unit, and it takes up most of his turn. So with that, I'm pretty happy. I'm gonna go ahead and take the shield. If he takes the even trade, no skin off my back. I have a shield, and I have probably another faith that gets me to 4, where I get a few extra effects with my units. So all in all, I'm not unhappy about it. Once again, just know, take the hit for 4. You have a lot of HP left. Take some of those trades, keep the unit on board. You just gave up that unit that you could have kept spamming over and over and over again if I don't take care of it. And you were just fine with getting that one-time value to save you, what, 4 HP when you are only missing 1 health? Use your HP of your Warlord as a resource. You don't always have to prioritize your HP, especially if you're above 20. If you're above 20, in most cases, take the thing that further down the line gives you better value. I don't mind ignoring this because this doesn't do anything right away, right? It doesn't do anything by being resurrected right away. It has no immediate effect. And here I am getting to further my board state, and I don't know why he immediately quits. I mean, yeah, I have some good trades coming up, but I would have loved to have played my give 2 health to everything and the +1/+1, because it was going to have 6 faith, which would have been amazing. You don't get that one often, but it's a card that's good by itself. Giving +2 to all your units for 2 is already pretty decent, and it gives +2 to your Warlord. But if it has that secondary effect, lovely. Right into another loss, also against Orcs. Haha. Always seem to either have a beatdown when it comes to the Orcs, like I destroy them, or I get destroyed. It just tends to be how it goes. In this case, the big weakness of this one, if I recall, is this game goes super late, and he has a ton of greedy units that normally you don't get to play but he gets to play him, and there's not much that I can do in the late game with this being my strongest unit. It won't trade with those really, really strong units. It won't. And I forget if it's this one where he just starts spamming the freaking grots. The one where you get 3 of them. They all get Vanguard. Freaking annoying, man. So that's another weakness of this particular draft that I had, is I didn't get any of those deal 3 damage to a unit and 2 adjacent units. I would have loved to have gotten a copy of that, because that would have probably won me this game by itself. It just didn't happen. I do that to make it more awkward for him to trade with these units, and because playing this doesn't have the effect that I want it to, and it does make it more awkward. I'm perfectly happy with that. This thing was going to get huge if I didn't, and I'd have no way to deal with it if I didn't do that. So I'm happy to take this out. I'm going to buff this because I need it to be able to compete with this unit better. And he more than likely is going to just trade it with one of these 2 units. So I'm kind of setting myself up in a way that makes this removable. I'm very happy to see this. I think I only got 1 copy of it in this draft. And this is the first time I've seen it, I believe, in all of these games. And boy, am I happy to see it. Because it enables me to clear this in a way that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise, given that I really did not have anything else. I didn't have any other form of board clear outside of that. Probably gonna just take the easy, this and this, protect this unit. And I'm pretty happy at this point. Like, I'm thinking to myself, yes, if he plays Will of Gork after playing some of his units, I could be annoyed, but I'm really happy with where I'm at this point. Of course, that Scorch hits really heavy. It high hits some of my units. Sucks. Oh, wow. And then I heal it, I imagine. And then I probably make this bigger so that it can trade with something potentially. I'm really just wondering to myself if it would have just been better to have this already. Because this could have traded with this. Thankfully, this does not hit here and hit for 3. Otherwise, it would have probably been instantly game over. But I think, yeah. It would have been just nicer to have this. Because now, these energy turns are not turning out the way that I want them to. I still have ways to trade with this, thankfully, and I think to myself once again, okay, maybe I've stabilized here, but I think I just don't have ways to get rid of this thing. I don't. I was able to delay it a little bit, and I'm hoping that that will help me stabilize the game, and then that comes down. Screw that card. It is so annoying. So that wins him the game. Not immediately, but it's what led to him winning the game. That, and he gives all of his units 2 HP, which is annoying. So I start trying to spam these to try and delay. I'm purposefully placing this unit. I'm placing Celestine by this so that if he uses this to clear, the 5 doesn't do anything. And And I'm placing this between the other one, so if he trades here, the 5 is clearing a really cannon fodder unit. So at this point, I'm still happy with where I'm at. Like, I think that I've successfully delayed enough that I can get some good trades with these units, and it'll still be fine, right? And I get some good trades with those units. I'm pretty happy with this board state still, right? Gonna give everything armor. I think I've won to an extent. Plays this card again, dude. Again. I have to get through 3 of them again. And he has another one of these. It was an insanely greedy deck to have 2 of these in it. But it's made playable by these things. And it was so frustrating. I think it's right here that I probably give up. Or soon. Because it's like, I don't have a way of getting through all these little craps. I'm going to try, but I don't think I have a way to get through them and make the trades that I need to. Right, so he just gets to clear all of this with the swing, and then I don't have any units that can, you know, go through these effectively. And then yeah, that was the final dagger, was it just got killed right off the bat. And if I got to swing with it, I could use this to stay in the game. That was my plan. If I got the Arcoflagellant now instead of earlier in the game, that could have turned things around since I had Hallowed Martyrs, but it's just too much to get through those 3 Vanguard Grots without wave clear, and getting bamboozled by some really strong blast units that I can't punish sucked. That sucked. So in that case, the biggest thing that's a potential mistake was just not playing Celestine on the opportunity, on that energy turn 7, the first opportunity I had. I think that is the best case scenario. That's the best opportunity I had to win that game, I believe, is playing Celestine just on that turn 7. Clearing that Grot tank wasn't the biggest deal in the world. I just hate that unit, so I sent a Seraphim at it. Which was a mistake, I think. I'm going through these games a little bit faster because hopefully you have an idea of how I'm thinking about the games, and because I'm getting tired of talking. So I'm going to also go through the wins fast, not just the losses. So I'm really happy to see this. It helps a lot in the beginning with clearing some of the annoying chaff units, and it has the opportunity to clear the, not warp stones, spirit stones as well. It counts for that as well. So I'm happy to see it. I'm gonna go ahead and just go with my weaker spam units because I don't want to give this for free to that. I actually do think this is a good card. The 5 HP just makes it somewhat solid. And if you get Vol can just buff its HP. Sorry, not its HP, buff its attack stats so that it can trade well with some units. So it's got a really good purpose in a Vol deck, and really good purpose in a Junith deck because you consistently have other troops to go along with it. Whereas in Vol, it's less about the troops and more about it's got a lot of HP and it will probably stay on the board when you're playing it, you know, at Energy 3, and you can use it to up trade with something. Whereas here, its purpose is mostly just to actually use the prayer mechanic along with your battle sisters. Really, really weak use of Warp Storm or Eldritch Storm. I get it, but at the same time, like, not ideal. You want to save that for clearing up some much stronger units than those. I take these trades because it's like easy. Now I have a flying unit. I'm gonna go ahead and probably use prayer and strengthen both of these units. Biggest thing, actually I'd probably get rid of this. Yeah. Biggest thing is if they have the Crimson Hunter, this really sucks to lose this unit straight up to that. Otherwise, hard to punish this, but that one card would have hurt. I just kind of, yeah, maybe I could have played a different line, because it's not too unlikely that they have a Crimson Hunter, and trading with that after that it would be awkward, but it's the play that I did. I had 6 energy. I didn't feel like playing these because these are just so weak to so many Eldar units. So, it is what it is. Take the trades. They get one of the first Spirit Stones that they get in the whole game. I'm happy with this because it's like whatever. He takes way less damage than you normally would from that stuff. I'm going to use this for tempo. I want them gone. I don't want them to have any Spirit Stones. Not when they have this. Not when there's other effects that they can use. This would have been another 4/4. Not that it matters in this case because I was going to trade with it. And I have so many units on the field it wouldn't have mattered. But I didn't need him getting 2 more Spirit Stones for the stupid 8 drop with flank, getting a 3 blast. Don't want it. Gonna take the trades with this. Yep. At this point I'm really low on cards, but they have no Spirit Stones, and a lot of their units I'm not too afraid of. I think if anything would have made me lose this game, it would have been drawing more really low tier units, you know, the game going on a lot longer, and if my opponent had a couple copies of Howling Banshees, Howling Banshees would have made that game very different. But given how poorly my opponent traded in the beginning with that Eldritch Storm being used to clear really weak units, that gave me a lot of opportunities in that game when they played that, and just the fact that they had very few Spirit Stones to use with units made a big difference. But that game, if it went longer and I kept drawing weak units, could have gone a lot differently, could have gone a lot more poorly. Surprised that I kept this. I guess I just really wanted to see it because it is a really good card against the Necrons. I mean, it's always good, but it's especially good against them. So they got a lot of units that trade poorly with it. And my guy just quit for some reason. Guess he had lost way too many times to the Sisters of Battle. Okay. Fair enough, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and play this one, and then I'm going to skip the one that was against the 2 that were against bots. So 2 of these games out of the 12 were against bots. And I don't think that there's too much purpose in going over those games, seeing as, you know, like 8 out of 10 times the bots are going to play it really bad. Every once in a while you'll get a bot that's actually kind of smashing you and you're like, dang, that feels bad. So an interesting line, right? I knew that he's probably going to trade here and then try to get the damage on me, and he gets a Spirit Stone. But I'm happy with that because I have the opportunity to really lay down some of the units. He gets a really good health trade on me. He gets rid of my unit. He gets a Spirit Stone. all of that's pretty good for him, but then in my opinion, that's just why. Why do you not clear this unit? I get it if he has the ability to clear it with one of his snipers next turn, but I'm not going to make it that easy for him. So yeah, that was almost certainly his plan, and so he's going to do it now. But because he didn't take care of this unit last turn, I get to have a unit this turn. So, you know, if he took care of that unit last time, I wouldn't have had anything on board. But now I do. Now I get a really good trade. And now I have a board. And now I'm buffing my board. And he quits already, because he probably took a lot of early game aggro stuff, and when that failed and I have a board, he has no way to deal with it. Dude quits really early. Next two games are against bots. I'm going to skip those. Then I get Morven Vol, which is a difficult matchup in my opinion, just because her Warlord ability counters yours in the sense that she gets the ping that stops your Faith ability, and she gets to continue with hers. Dang, I really keep this again? I'd have less of a problem with me keeping this if I only had one copy of it. But I have two copies of it, so I'm likely to draw one of them by the time I get to this turn anyways. But I guess I just really wanted to see it because it's that good of a card. She does the correct thing in my opinion and is hitting these Battle Sisters off, taking them off, rather than hitting me and then giving me the opportunity to buff them. I think that that's good. I don't have a problem with that line of play. Like I said, Faith is overrated until you get to about here. Here's where she needs to try to take my Faith off if she can. And Hallowed Martyrs gives her exactly the excuse to start making some of those trades against my Warlord without worrying about other things. So I make a play that's weak against the Arcoflagellants, obviously, but really I'm giving up this unit because I'm using my Warlord power and then only playing one unit, so I'm not giving up too much. And then if, you know, getting those Flagellants out this early against my weaker units, amen, I'll take that. Heck yeah. I see an opportunity to place this down on an empty board. I'm gonna take it because this card gets really strong once you can stack 2 or 3 armor on it and you can just keep healing. It'll become almost impossible for her to remove without, you know, really spamming Arcoflagellants with the Hallowed Martyr ability, or just using the 5 energy kill unit with highest attack. So I'm really happy to have this on field. I have my own copy of this, so I'm going to use it to, you know, break a lot of the chaff off. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. And I get to draw 2 units, and at this point I think she quits. She's just like, I have a better board. She's not really likely to be catching up. I've just refilled my hand. I have 4 faith already. She didn't want none of that. None of it at all. And Nemesaur, and holy cow, he's such a pain in the butt. He really is. And this was worthy of being the final fight for the 12 wins. It was a really long, hard-fought game. I'm gonna go a little bit quickly through it because it was so long. Standard thing, get my faith running, force them to either clear my unit or attack me. You know, make them make that choice. Don't waste time attacking. Make them make a choice between the two. They rarely, on that very first turn, get to do both. Every once in a while they do, but not every time. I don't care. Weak unit. It can be annoying in the long run if he has a bunch of them, but I don't mind. He should have placed that on the left so that this stays behind permanently if I don't get rid of it. He chooses to make that trade this time. Fair enough. I decided to go ahead and get that prayer going, make it a little harder to remove, make this harder to remove. Just try to get some of that faith running, because I don't have good ways of dealing with this that aren't awkward. And it pans out, you know, I'm not unhappy with how that went. Now I make a mistake here. I'm gonna go, this restarts the whole thing. I make a mistake here. I thought I had 2 faith, and so I just awkwardly ping one of these. Now, given my options, I would have played this anyway. I was really mad that I didn't have 2 faith, because it would have cleared one of these out, and I could have gotten rid of one of the, what do they call them? Remnants. But instead, one ping, I mean, I needed to play this anyways for the tempo. I couldn't afford to not play it and then, like, be stuck with these in hand. Once again, very awkward to have these early on in the game stuck in my hand. Sucks. Luckily, I draw into this, and I have a few more options with what I can do. Of course, I'm gonna at least clear it and force him to, you know, make a choice if he wants to res it. Because if he doesn't, this one will go away. He gets to keep this weaker one. Not the worst thing in the world. But overall, just really annoyed at that. And he's already getting the stupid remnant spam that I can't really do anything about right away. Really, really annoying to go late into a fight against these guys. So my only good option here is just playing Celestine, and I'm going to give my guy a shield. I'm going to probably... Oh wow, I heal. I probably did that because if he chooses to trade into this in any way, shape, or form with this, then I'm wasting an attack and I could be getting more faith. In most cases, there could have been some kind of excuse to trade this into this, but in this case, it just was no reason to. And I think that was kind of validated by that. You know, he's just going to res it anyways. So I'm happy enough to get my faith to 3, which I think is very relevant given that this is in the hand. I think I just play another Celestine because I don't have another good option right off the bat. He takes the trades, gets to res it. I'm pretty pissed at this point. I would have loved if that would have tanked the damage. It didn't. And at this point I'm like, shoot, how do I come back out of this? Well, slowly. I gotta get this thing off the field. I gotta get this thing off the field. Don't have a choice. So I'm gonna work towards that. I'm gonna get those 2 stupid units off the field so he's not getting free reses. He might still have some in hand, but I need to keep him from getting them for free from the units that are already on the field. Conviction of Faith probably wins the game right here because he can't make easy trades against any of these units now. He would have been able to remove this easily otherwise, and he couldn't. So I'm not in that bad of a situation. Once again, have to get that off the field. Have to. And I play both of these. You know, obviously he can get some good trades against this with this unit, but I'm mostly just hoping Celestine stays on the field. And she would have. She would have. But at the very least, he had to take a hit with his Warlord. So once again, kind of an awkward situation. I think I get a decent draw here with the Zephyrin. I'm not going to say it was the luckiest thing in the world, because we're already at the stage where I'm getting 2 cards per turn, and I do have 2 copies of this in deck. So it's not the unlikeliest thing in the world to happen, but it was very good that it happened. Very good that it happened. And you could make the claim that his start to the game was so freaking good that that was lucky in of itself. But I'm really happy now, right? I have very good options going forward, and I can start racking up faith as well. Now, a lot of these next turns are dependent a little bit on my opponent not having reses from hand. If he does, I can't really do anything about it. But I don't have the luxury of clearing the remnants off. Right? Because I don't want to get rid of this unit by attacking melee. So I don't have the luxury of getting rid of that remnant. Fortunately, it's not in this position. He needs to start. I think you can place them in between. Like, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to place it in between the remnant. At least I don't think. I haven't played him myself. But if you're able to, you know, squeeze him in between this unit and the warlord, do it. Why would you leave him on the side? But if you're not able to do that, then it's a if you're not able to do that, then not a misplay. But I feel like you should be able to squeeze it in between. But maybe they thought that was so broken that they needed to control that a little bit. I'm gonna keep spamming Crusaders for the most part because they take a decent amount of effort to remove. And I'm gonna start buffing my board state. I don't really want to delay waiting for that extra attack because I don't know if I'm ever gonna get to that point. Because this game is probably gonna end in the next couple of turns is what I'm thinking to myself. I need these units to be able to stay on field. I'm gonna clear what I can off, and I'm gonna, you know, try to continue giving my units health and give them shields for good trades. Because as soon as he gets another one of those 6 drops that pings 1 to, you know, 4 units, and puts that in conjunction with the one that gives all of my units vulnerable, he can clear this whole board state. So I'm trying to end it as quickly as I can and keep as many units on field as I can to start swinging. And obviously I'm running into the complication of he played one of these. Bad enough already. Crap, he has 2 of them. So now I'm going to continue to try and do delay tactics. Shields, more Crusaders, giving more HP. I think I'm going to take the trade because I need to get some damage on that. I don't know why I bothered. I probably should have just played another Crusader, because I don't really care about this refilling 3 energy at this point in the game. We're hitting 14, 15 points of energy. It's kind of redundant, right? So I probably would have rather played another Crusader instead of having a Battle Sister, because this is just more immediately powerful. But yeah, that stun did need to be played. That was a big deal. He trades with the Crusader. Cool. I'll take it. Lich Guard, whatever at this point. Not really that strong of a unit. Plays that. Alright, time to get some fun combos off with the Flagellant. It's time to start giving this a lot more blast so that it can do a lot more damage to different units. Flagellant goes down. I'm going to make some of the trades. Probably swing with this. Yes. Getting some of that free AoE damage on this unit. Huge. Going to take those small trades that I can just to whittle these guys down. I'll take that first one out. Boom. Probably another Crusader. Should be at this point. They're just too good not to. Boom, boom, more faith. I have more than I could ever want. Giving everything HP, getting this shield so that it can do another good swing. Healing this so I can potentially use it more than once. And probably playing Conviction of Faith after all of this to round it out. Just so it makes it extremely hard for him to remove my units with by making them vulnerable, right? That's the only way he gets out of this, is making these units vulnerable and playing the 6 energy unit that does 1 damage to 4 with the artifact. He doesn't get rid of this any other way. So I'm trying to play around that with the armor. And really I've set myself up to win this turn, because this being able to do 6 to the sides is huge. Being able to do 6 blast on this next turn after swinging with the Arcoflagellant is insanely huge. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to swing with this guy into something that I can do damage to. Obviously, I'm going to take those free clears. Boom, boom. I'm going to swing into this now, because that's going to do 6 to both of these. And it gets to stay alive. And I've won. Energy turn 15-16. Holy cow. What a game to round off a 12-win draft with. That was definitely final boss material. So that was a 12-win draft run with the Sisters of Battle. Like I said, this is the 3rd one I've had specifically with Junith. I think she's actually pretty good. We'll obviously lose to Ultramarines, but other than that, you can take them against other factions and not instantly lose like a lot of people are whining about. With that being said, I'm also going to just do a quick review of the Sisters of Battle cards while my voice is still holding out. Which I don't know how much longer it is. I don't talk so much usually. Alright, so Vol. Weird one. Obviously has the 40 HP, but has a contradiction in what you want to do with her, right? If you want to be getting a ton of faith, you want to pray. But a lot of the time, you want to use this ability to get rid of early game units that have 3 HP, so you kind of give up on getting a lot of early game faith with her. So most of the time, I just would not play her expecting to get more than like 3 faith, unless you're willing to play the relics. But these are huge risk, because 5 energy is just a lot to play for an empty turn with a faction that already struggles to fall behind. So good in the sense that she has 40 HP and a really good ability. I don't expect to get a lot of faith with her. Would not play a card that requires more than 3 faith in a deck with her. Just don't expect to be getting that much with her. Play her with Penitence. Play her expecting to use this ability, right? Play a lot more of the cards that have high HP, because you can make up for their low attack stats with this. Play her for tempo. Great card. Don't expect to get a free kill with 6 faith on some massive unit all the time with her. Play her for tempo. Play her to make up for how slow the Sisters are by using it for that 1 or 2 faith ping to finish a unit off or to break a shield, so that you can not fall absurdly behind in the early game. That's how she should be used. Fantastic card. Downside is, requires you to kill a unit on your turn. And a lot of the time, you don't get the opportunity to dictate how your unit dies. A lot of the time, your opponent is killing your units. So it's a great card with the caveat of it needs something to die on your turn. So she's paired up really well with Celestine, with the ability that Celestine has to be invincible in the first turn, and then let's say that your opponent plays a really strong unit. Sacrifice Celestine to kill that unit, play this. But in a lot of cases, don't let this be in your hand early on for the most part, and it does have that caveat. This, great card, would be their best card if it weren't for the fact that it will lose you mirror matchups against other Sisters of Battle units with Penitence. But other than that, amazing card. It enables you with the Warlords that aren't Morven to trade up with those 3 HP units, and really makes your opponent have to reconsider going full aggro on your units or the order in which they do things. Counters Marker Light, counters Shuriken, because those will double activate this ability. Astrid, best card in their entire roster in my opinion. Always have it in your deck if you have the opportunity. Never a bad card. Usually I would say that this card is responsible for me winning more games consistently than any other with the Sisters of Battle. This card and Celestine are the ones responsible for carrying most of the games, because a lot of your other units are really, really weak. Don't have this copy, obviously, but it's a good card. Maybe even great. Don't expect to get the secondary ability, but nice that it can kill things that are stealthed or in camo. Not nice that you can't select what you destroy. It just destroys the highest attack. Sometimes that's not what you want. Let's say they have a weak Vanguard that you want killed out of the way so that you can end the game with some strong units, and it's not going to kill that unit. It's going to kill whatever strong unit they have. So you give up being able to choose which unit, but you gain being able to kill a unit that has camo or stealth. So trade-offs, but a really good card. Already talked about Celestine. Catherine, if you play her on an empty board, really good. She will take over the game from there if she can't be killed. If she's not played on an empty board, she just doesn't do anything right away. So if you play on a board that has weak cards of your opponents, you can get away with it, but playing her in response to another strong unit can get punished really heavily. Good stats can't really be taken advantage of because both of these stats are high, good health. The prayer ability, honestly, you're not going to use that so often as much as you're going to use this to make trades with, but not a bad card. I would definitely consider what deck you're going to put this in. I would probably prioritize putting it in a non-Vol deck, because at that point you want to be playing your Penitence units, not playing something like this in a Vol deck. If you play this card, you are playing it because it has camo, and it can't be removed by a tactic. You're not playing it for this prayer effect. Praying to do 1 damage, if that's what happens, sucks. If you're playing it, play it for camo. Decent stats, terrible prayer effect. You're going to be doing other things with this. If you're playing this, you're playing it to attack with. You're not playing it for the prayer. It's just too weak of a prayer ability on too strong a unit that you want to be doing other things with. Risky, because it sets you behind. You know, if you play it on an open field, cool. You will rarely get to do that. This unit is almost playable. It can get punished a lot for its weak stats. If it had 6 health, I would play it. But it can die to 4 drops. And if you're going second, it can die to that 4 drop, and your opponent gets to do something else, especially if it's Abaddon. I can think of this getting punished by the Chosen Champion, or whatever the 5 melee, 5 health unit with flank, and then Abaddon playing his ability on it. No. Too weak. At least has 5 HP, but too weak to be played in a Junith or a Erica deck. Maybe in a Vol deck, because you can make up for the weak stats, but at that point you're not playing it for the prayer ability. Amazing. Put it in your decks. Really good. Consider having 1 copy. 2 is a little bit too much to ask for. Amazing. In a... You can argue to play this in any of them, honestly. You can play this in any of them. I'd say it's probably weakest in Junith. Erica, you can give this extra HP right off the bat. Vol, you can use this to make better trades with, or ping it. But probably weakest in an Erica deck. Junith. Weakest in a Junith deck where you have to swing with this and then heal. Well, your opponent's probably already done damage to it, so healing it won't matter. But if you play this and give it extra HP, you could potentially get a couple extra swings with it. Most of the time going to be useless. Good luck getting this to stay on the field without 5 faith. Good luck getting 5 faith consistently. Better cards, if it had 4 HP, because it's an epic card. If it had 4 HP, it'd be playable. Beacon of Faith, good card by itself. +2 to units, everything. Play it on 2 units, it's already giving 4 HP. I think that's more than worth that. If you get the secondary effect, whew, amazing. So this is an example of, if a card is good enough to be played without the faith, go ahead and play it. But if it's only good with the faith, don't play it. Criminally underrated. I've gotten 3 draft wins, 12 draft wins with this Warlord leading the way. Makes up for a lot of the slowness and inconsistency of the early game by just being able to do this every turn. Buys you time. Buys you time. Don't expect to get all these amazingly strong Battle Sisters, but it buys you time. Gives you a more consistent early game. And yeah, underrated. Underrated. Good luck getting 8 faith. Otherwise, just doesn't do anything on deployment without that. So it's only good if you have that. Therefore, it's not good. Same thing, not good without Vanguard. I mean, it's decently statted for sure, but so are other opponents' units. Actually good in terms of stats. You're not gonna... Most of the time you're gonna end up trading with it rather than praying, but it's decently statted. Is a draw 3 for 6 energy valid? I'd say no. I'd say in most cases, if you are forced to play this card because you're out of cards, you're gonna lose. And you're probably not gonna have this effect. Really good in Penitence decks, solid stats, can be punished by the range a little bit. But good in Penitence decks, good in Vol decks. Decent. I mean, it's kind of like the Ultramarines one, but you get armor instead of healing. But it forces you to pray to get the armor, whereas the Ultramarines one that can heal can do a trade and then can heal in a lot of instances. So, you know, decent, but you can skip it easily. Canoness, you can skip it. Has okay stats. Faith 3 is okay. To get a 6/5/5, sure. Don't expect to get the armor. I'd say it's an okay unit, but you can skip it easily. Spirit, take it in Penitence decks. Take it if you're going to run Hollowed Martyr. This can win you games. Good card. Seraphim, I'm conflicted. It's okay. It requires 3 just to have flank. I wish it came with flank already and had some other effect. You know, make it have a lot of faith. This is an angel unit. Make it require a lot of faith to have some cool effect. But give it flank. I think just give it flank to begin with. And give it some other strong effect for a higher amount of faith. This can be punished really easily for the 2 range, but it's playable. It's certainly playable. I don't like these. They die to too many things. Don't play it in a Junith deck. You'll see me play them in draft decks, but that's because there were other units that were amazing that I wanted to play with them. Don't play this in Junith. Play it in an Erica so you can give her 4 HP. I'd say don't play it in a Vol deck either. Penitence decks, Vol decks, yes, can be quite good. Downside is requires you to have something on board already, or requires you to play it with something else in the same turn. But definitely valid. Amazing. Take it. Requires you to have something on board. No, it doesn't. Friendly unit. I think you can take this. It's playable. Don't expect to be drawing a card all that often, but it is playable. Probably redundant to play this in a Vol deck. Actually, no. I think it's playable. You can give it extra HP in a Erica deck. In a Junith, you can play her with a Battle Sister turn 4. Playable. In a Vol deck, you can use this and Vol's ability to ping some 3 units off if it stays. So it's playable, but, you know, still weak. Amazing card. Penitence, play it. Vol, play it. Playable in Junith and Erica. You can play it with Junith turn 3 with her ability. You can play it with giving her an extra HP with Erica, and just try to do a couple of different things to mitigate the terrible early game of the sisters. But I would only run 1 copy. Don't run 2. If you have this in early game, you're kind of happy. If you haven't any point past that, you're like, why did I put this in my deck? So either put 1 copy or nothing at all. Alright, getting to the end. Really weak stats. Don't play it. Play it in a Penitence deck, play it in a Vol deck. Decent. Put it in decks you don't have enough flank or board clear to not play these in your decks, so play them. This makes up for that. You know, you could play Zephyrim or Penitent engines, but play this in a Vol deck. But in most cases, I would go one or the other, with this being the choice in a Vol deck. Creed, you can definitely justify playing this in most decks. It buys you crucial time in a lot of games, but don't expect it to get the refill. And it kind of requires you to have a bit of a board state to be useful in Erica or Junith's case, but in a Vol deck, I think you can argue to play this more often because it could buy you a crucial turn to get your Flagellant online with Hollowed Martyrs, and then your opponent was just like, oh, you played a stun of my cards? I'm going to play a bunch of more strong units and you're going to regret that. And you're like, no, I was just buying time, and now I'm going to get this massive Flagellant Hollowed Martyr combo turn, and you just wasted, you know, 6 units or 5 units for nothing. This really good. You can get to 2 Faith reliably. This coming with a ping, and then this coming as a secondary ping helps you get rid of armored units. Take it. It's good. Decent. You can argue to put it in most decks. I'd say it's more useful in Vol or in Erica because you can give health. Not as immediately useful in a Junith deck. 3 Faith is reasonable. You can play this in any of them, but it's more useful in a Vol or in a Erica deck. Risky, just risky to play. I would not play this unless I wouldn't play it unless you already have something Vanguard, or unless you're playing Erica, so you can give it extra HP right away. I'd say this is only good in an Erica deck. To give it the 5 HP is huge. Not being able to have 5 HP on this is very detrimental. This lasting till next turn sort of makes it almost playable. I'd like to see this be like 4, but other than that, this is kind of hard to just have in your deck. The only thing that, in my mind, makes this potentially good is that it lasts till your next turn. And it also gives 1 to your warlord. So it can be played. You can make an argument to play this. I would love to see this be a little bit cheaper, but it's a common card. It is okay for a common card, and you can make an argument to put this in a Vol deck, I would say. Would be the best choice for this one. Whereas another one would be potentially Junith, because you can more often establish a board. But with Vol, you're more often swinging with your warlord anyway, so you can make an argument for that. Dominion, good card, probably weakest with Junith, but playing them in conjunction with your Battle Sisters on a turn 5 is not bad. So in that way, honestly, probably weakest with Vol, because Vol doesn't have a ton of things you can do with this unit other than what it comes with. Erica, you can give this bonus HP. You can have a really good turn 5 with Junith, but Vol, it's okay. You can't make this any tankier. You can't play another unit with it often, other than the weak 2 cost units anyways. Amazing, take it, we'll win you games. Amazing, take it, we'll buy you some really good trades. You could take it in a Vol deck. I would not rely on this in any other deck, but you could use it in a Vol deck. Okay. Amazing if you get the 3 faith, but otherwise it's okay. It's probably most useful in Junith or Erica. Erica, you give the extra HP. Junith, you can play it on turn 4 with the Battle Sister. Vol, you can't make it tankier, and often you can't play an extra thing with it, so I would not really play these unless you're a Junith deck. Good card. Amazing if you get the extra effect. Overall, a lot of meh units in the Sisters roster, but they have some of the best cards in the game as well. In particular, their legendaries are some of the best. I think I missed a couple. These two. Vol, otherwise don't play it, but it can get some nasty trades. I like this in Junith and Vol. Junith because you can get board presence. Vol because you can buff this to make good trades, but Erica, you're just given the 6 HP, and it still has those weak stats. I mean, you could make an argument for that as well. I think that this is playable. Playable, and in some decks actually good. But yeah, overall, little understated on most of their units. But man, if you can get board presence, you're in a good place. And man, they have some of the coolest legendaries in the game. So, overall, I think they're close to top tier, if not top tier. Like, top 3, I should say. With that being like Ultramarines, Necrons, and then them. I put the Necrons below the Ultramarines just because I find that you can consistently bully them with the Marines if you play an aggro early game. That's been my experience. I'm sure that some people have gotten their butts kicked by the Necrons, but I've been really happy with the Ultramarines' performance against the Necrons. So, that's a 12 draft win with the Sisters of Battle Junith, and then an overview of the Sisters of Battle cards for a very long video.